repeatedly drive under the influence of drugs or alcohol will now permanently lose their driving privileges after 4 drug or alcohol-related convictions or incidents. This change becomes effective today following the adoption of stricter regulations from the DMV. Previously, drivers would face permanent license denial after 5 convictions or incidents. The changes also allow for permanent license denial after 3 incidents plus 1 or more other serious driving offenses. The DMV can also deny an application for relicensure depending on the applicant's convictions.